Hello everyone and welcome back to another Big Ambitions video. First of all, it's December, and for me that means it's pretty much Christmas every day. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's a certain feeling that I get around this time every year, and I just wanted to wish you all a lovely holiday season. And speaking of the holiday season, you may have seen some changes in the city as of 1st of December. Let's take a moment and appreciate how nice and festive the city feels with these beautiful decorations. We have Christmas trees on the sidewalks and in front of houses. We have beautiful snowflake lights between street poles. It really gives the city a festive feeling, and I love it. So huge thanks to the devs for sticking to their word and delivering on their promises. And come mid-December, we will have some new additions to the game with the upcoming update. And here we are in my store tester game file. I feel like we haven't done one of those in a while, and with the recent comments I've received from you guys, I felt there was a topic that needed addressing, which is, are the office businesses any good? And just before we dive into it, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so very much for watching my videos. I've put a lot of time and effort into bringing this content to you, and I hope you find it valuable. If you do enjoy what you see, I'd be really grateful if you could drop a like on this video. Your likes make a huge difference. They not only mean a lot to me personally, but they also help in pushing this content out to more people through the YouTube algorithm. My goal is to help and reach as many of you as possible, and your engagement is a big part of making that happen. So thanks again for all your support, it truly means the world to me. Alright, so let's get this rolling. We first need to rent the office spaces, and looking around the map, I saw plenty of opportunities, so I had to do a few checks before signing the contracts. And as you can see, these buildings have a variety of traffic index differences, as well as customer capacity fluctuations, so my decision here was unchanged compared to my usual playthroughs, and I went for the best buildings in each area. I consider that most people would make the same choices, especially if this is the first business they create. Like, why would you go for something worse when the money spent on rent is relatively the same, right? So with that in mind, we ended up with one small office in the garment district, since there is no other size available here, and two offices of medium and large size for each of the remaining areas, so Hell's Kitchen, Murray Hill, and Midtown. And just so we're all on the same page, I'll quickly explain the namings of each place. So the first two letters are describing the size and type, and the last two letters are explaining the location. So the SOGD is a small office in the garment district. Consistency is key. Therefore, in order to keep this test as accurate as possible, I've made use of the interior installation firm called Kingdom Office, which specializes in decorating offices in a nice professional manner. This way we know for sure that every office has the same setup and potential, and will not be affected by its design or decorations. I've also made sure that every office has enough staff to be able to accommodate the maximum building capacity and did not use any of the additional revenue streams such as marketing campaigns. As for our employees, I've decided to use a recruitment agency, since in most cases you won't have enough money to recruit your own personal headhunter in the early stages of the game. So City Workforce came through for us and gave us a nice variety of employees. And after completing the setup for all 7 businesses, there was only one thing remaining: passing the time. And just before we discuss the results, I want to point out a very important aspect. None of these companies were able to generate profits. They were also struggling to get clients, and at most I saw 6 per day, in offices where the maximum capacity was at 50. I was at a loss in 99% of the cases, and I cannot pinpoint the exact reason why this happened, but I can only assume that it was a mixture of a low demand for the service provided combined with a fierce competition. In any case, although we did not break even, we still generated revenue, and that is the key in understanding the performance of each size in each zone of the city. The first results we'll look at are for the graphics design firm. What you're seeing here in front of you is a combined data of all 7 offices. The small office in the garment district in the bright red color managed to get on average $342 in total revenue, with a peak of $719. There is no surprise here, as the garment district performed in line with my expectations and with the other tests done for different businesses. And if you're interested in that, you can find out more in the link below. Moving up to the medium offices, we see the following results. Hell's Kitchen in purple and Midtown in orange generated on average 1.7k in total revenue, while having slightly different peaks at 2.9 and 2.3k. Murray Hill in bright yellow performed much worse, with only $625 on average and a peak of 1.8. And lastly, the large offices trended in the same fashion, with Hell's Kitchen in blue and Midtown in green generating on average 2.8k in total revenue, with similar peaks at 3.4 and 3.6k. Murray Hill was again a bit more disappointing, with $919 generated on average and a peak of 2.6. Next up, we'll be looking at the performance of the web development agency. Here, the small office in the garment district, in the red color, managed to get on average $649 in total revenue, so that would be almost double compared to the graphics design company, and had a peak of 1k. The medium offices in Midtown in orange, Murray Hill in yellow, and Hell's Kitchen in purple performed similarly and had on average 1.7k. However, their peaks were different, with Midtown at 2.2k, Murray Hill at 2.6, and Hell's Kitchen at 2.4. Lastly, the large offices were the strongest, with Midtown in green at 2.6k on average and 3.3k peak, Murray Hill in white at 2.4k on average and peak of 3.3k again, and Hell's Kitchen in blue, surprisingly the strongest of them all, with 4.4k on average and 5.3k peak. And finally on our list are the lawyer offices. Here, I was very surprised to see such a level of consistency between offices in different regions. Looking at the small office in the garment district in red, did an average of 1.6k in total revenue, which is the highest across all business types in this region. Its peak was again at an all-time high at 3.1k. Moving on to the medium-sized offices, Midtown in blue managed to do 4.7k on average with a 6.4k peak, Murray Hill in bright yellow did a 4.6k average with a 6.9k peak, and Hell's Kitchen was surprisingly the best of them all at 5k average with a 6.9k peak as well. And the large offices did not disappoint either, with a pretty similar performance between themselves. So Midtown in blue did a 6.1k average with a 7.6k peak, Murray Hill in white did 6.2k average and had also a peak of 7.6k, and Hell's Kitchen did a 6.1 with a peak of 6.7. Looking at this chart, you've most likely seen there are plenty of days where 3 or more of these bars are reaching the same level, and that is not something I've seen very often in my deep dive sessions. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that none of these companies managed to make a profit and that they were also struggling to get clients. The interesting part is that they all had the same struggles as seen in the chart and also managed to get the same number of clients through the door, usually between 3 to 6 per day. I've also tried to expand my portfolio in one of my recent videos and built a graphics design company on my road to 1 million playthrough and faced the same exact scenario. I'm mentioning this because the chances of the same instance happening twice in different saves is low, so I'm more inclined to believe that there might be some adjustments needed for these types of companies. I don't believe it's normal to face such hardships in getting over 6 customers per day, especially in regions where you can have a maximum building capacity at 50. I'm not saying I was expecting to reach max capacity every day, but judging how other businesses performed, I would think getting around 35 to 40 per day would be achievable. So looking at this data, I would advise you to skip these businesses until we get the new update release in mid-December. I can only have high hopes that one of the devs will see my video and address these issues, and if you also had a similar story, please leave a comment with the business type and the region. And that would be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something new, and hopefully the upcoming update will address these issues and provide us with more businesses to choose from. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.